So here, these two policies are only for the commercial purposes, and these two have come in the new caliber, new format, where the IRDA has taken important decision to change the coverage, sum insured, individual additional coverage, innovative coverage, etc. And there is a slight difference between these two also. But the important work done by IRDA is to make them simplified. Because in the previous policy, that was standard fire and special peril policy, the language was very complex. They have simplified it. Plus, now these policies provide complete coverage. Plus, these two policies are able to control mis-selling. Plus, the clarity of coverage is there. And above all, the standardized pattern of sum insured has been decided. So these are very important changes made into these policies, and thereafter these policies have been introduced to all the general insurance companies of India. Now, after introducing these policies, an important question came. What will happen to those policies where the fire insurance is a section in the package policies or umbrella policies? Because those policies were there before 1st April 2021 also. So that has been decided the way, according to the sum insured, this section will automatically get changed. Companies have designed their software in the manner that according to the limit of the sum insured, their software will automatically take which policy will be applicable under which package policy. For example, we have got many package policies meant for commercial purposes, like business protector policy, Shri shopkeeper insurance policy, Shri office care insurance policy, Shri hotel and restaurant policy, Shri education shield insurance policies. They are all applicable for commercial institutions, starting from shop to a big corporate. These are all commercial institutions. Now the important point is, all these policies are having section 1 as mandatory section, and that is fire insurance. That means in all these policies, section 1 is fire insurance, that is mandatory, and every customer has to select that. Now when this section has been selected, then which policy will be applicable here? So this will be decided by the parameter decided for these two policies. In all package policies of all the general insurance companies, almost the pattern is same. Because every company is keeping the section 1 as mandatory section plus 2-3 section as minimum section requirement of the policy. Similarly, we are doing. But when first section is mandatory in all the policies, that means that section will automatically select the fire policy, suitable policy according to the sum insured limit. Now what is that sum insured limit? This you can identify clearly, that BSUS Shuddham Suraksha policy cannot be issued for more than 5 crore sum insured. The moment the sum insured of 5 crore is exceeded, the policy will automatically converted into Bharat Laghu Udyam Suraksha policy, which will be applicable up to the sum insured of 50 crores. Over and above 50 crores, the standard fire and special peril policy would be there. Or if a compact policy is required, in that case, industrial all risk policy would be there. Now this sum insured is based on value of risk at one location. Value of risk at one location. If that value is exceeding 5 crore, Bharat Laghu Udyog. If it is exceeding 50 crore, then standard fire and special policy or IR policy as per the choice of the customer. If the customer prefers to take a compact policy, IR would be the better option. Now, depending upon the risk, fire policy is given, but the coverage of fire policy is very wide. Subject matter insurable under fire policy are very wide. Say for example, any manufacturing risk or any non-manufacturing risk. In other words, any industrial risk or any non-industrial risk. They are all insured under fire policy. All type of storage risk, including storage in open or closed, are insurable under fire policy. Any type of utility and tanks are insurable under fire policy. That means either the commercial institution is rendering the services or it is manufacturing any output, turnover, production. Both are subject matter of fire insurance. For example, a hotel is rendering services, a hospital is rendering services, an office is rendering the services. They are also subject of fire insurance. A textile industry, a leather industry, an automobile industry, they are manufacturing. Their output is there, their annual turnover is there. They are also subject to fire insurance. Not only that, even utilities and tanks are subject to fire insurance. So fire insurance has got a very wide area of subject. Or you can say very wide category insurable under the fire insurance policy. Now there are major changes in this policy, and among these major changes, the number of perils have been increased to 14. Deletion of peril is banned now almost. Neither as per the choice of insured nor as per the choice of insurer, no peril of the policy can be deleted. If the policy is having 14 perils, all 14 perils will continue from day 1 to the date of expiry of the policy. No company has got any right to delete even a single or double or triple perils from the listed 14 perils. So deletion of peril is completely closed. Sum insured limit is before you. For Bharat Sukshma Udyam it is 5 crore, for Laghu Udyam it is 5 crore to 50 crore. Compulsory excess is also decided, this is 5,000 for SPSU and 5% of each claim of SBLU, that is minimum 10,000. This compulsory excess will differ in case the loss is caused by the terrorism insurance. Minimum premium for these policies is 500 plus GST for SPSU and 1000 plus GST for SBLU. So these are the major changes in the coverage of the policy, which are still not applicable to standard fire and special peril policy. This is important to understand. These are applicable only to these policies and they have nothing to do with the standard fire and special peril policy. Standard fire and special peril policy is still having 12 perils only. There, the provision of deleting the peril like RSND and STFI still continues. But especially for these two policies, this has been banned. Now see, fire is, what is fire? In fact, this term is very confusing because since long, number of claims have been repudiated on account of this word fire, which was not properly defined earlier. Because the fire word has very wide scope. Fire itself means the self-sustaining process of rapid oxidization of a fuel which produces heat and light. This is the technical definition of the fire. Fire is an exothermic chemical reaction between oxygen and fuel at certain temperature. But in big industrial cases, it was not defined in favor of industries. Because when you are saying rapid oxidation of a fuel which produces heat and light, then comes spontaneous combustion, natural heating, own fermentation. They were not covered earlier. They are still not covered in the standard fire and special peril policy. But these two policies have covered them. Because the fire could be to any kind of item, say for example, fuel. So fuel includes solids, liquids, vapors, gases. Solids includes wood, fabric, synthetic material, packaging material, papers. All these are subject to fire. Even human body is subject to fire. Now the question is, when we are covering 14 perils into the policy, what major changes we see? Because the IRD has made the changes in the definition of these perils also. But all changes are made in favor of the insured. Because the policyholder's interest must be benefited. Say the fire definition has been enhanced in favor of the policyholder. Because now fire includes own fermentation, natural heating, and spontaneous combustion also, which were not there earlier. Bushfire now includes forest fire and jungle fire, which were not there earlier. So these definitions are also changed. Similarly, impact damage. In impact damage category, major changes are there. In the sense, one independent peril called aircraft damage have been merged into the impact damage category now. An impact damage category has the wider definition because earlier only the impact damage caused due to vehicles, falling trees, or walls or machineries were covered, or even animals were covered. But those must not be belonging to the insured. Now the definition says impact damage of any kind is covered, including aircraft damage. So this is again changed in favor of the policyholder's interest. All benefit goes to the policyholder only. 3 new perils were added. Those are terrorism, earthquake, and theft. So inclusion of theft in the fire policy was very surprising, but the theft is having the limited application. Limited application means if the loss is caused by any of the 13 perils, then only the theft is covered, if it is followed by theft. But in that case, theft within 7 days means from the date of incident to 7 days, whatever has been stolen, all those cases of theft will be covered. Because from the occurrence of and approximately caused by any of the insured event within 7 days would be covered. Only thing is, theft alone should not be the cause of loss. Cause of loss must be different, any one out of the 13 perils. And if it is followed by theft, then only the theft is covered. Say for example, during riots, a rioter breaks a window of a shop and takes away articles of 35,000. So window is broken and he took away the articles of 35,000. Here, the loss is covered because this is not only theft. The peril is riots, and a rioter breaks the window. So the entire loss of 35,000 plus the cost of repair, that is 20,000, would be paid by the insurance company. Simple. No peril can be deleted because the standard fire and special peril policy is still continued with the provision of selecting or opting STFI and RSMD perils out. But this is a wrong practice because STFI and RSMD set of perils are most important set of perils which are not known to the insured. What does that mean? If I am asking to any of your team member also, they may not be able to tell even full form of STFI and RSMD. How come a customer can explain what is STFI and RSMD? And major losses of fire insurance are caused by the STFI or RSMD only. Because this STFI set of perils includes the natural calamities like cyclone, flood, storm, tempest, hurricane, inundation, and RSMD set of peril, riot, strike, and malicious damage. So major losses are caused by these perils only, in addition to fire. Now, in these two policies, these two options cannot be exercised by the insured as well as by the insurer. So, the deletion of perils is now not possible. If at all any company is deleting and a complaint is lodged to IRDA, there can be stern action against that company. Now, certain inbuilt coverages are also added to this policy. See, since beginning, because fire tariff is pretty old, and since beginning, there were two limits fixed in the fire tariff. If there is any loss under the fire policy will also pay, in addition to the actual loss, 3% of the claim amount for architect, surveyor and consulting engineer fee. This is a very old provision. But now this limit has been revised to 5%. Means the decision is taken in favor of the policyholder. Similarly, in addition to the actual loss, if there is any loss on the policy, removal of debris, policy pays 1% of the claim amount. That limit was also very old. That has been doubled now for 2%. Certain add-on covers were there, still there with the standard fire and special peril policy. Now they are added in these two policies without any additional cost. For example, additions, alterations or extensions up to 15% of the sum insured are now covered in these two policies without any extra cost. Temporary removal of stock is also covered up to 10% of the stock without any additional premium. Contents coverage is there in the policy along with the fire coverage. Startup expenses are covered. Limit is different for both the policies. Cost compelled by municipal regulations. If any local authority has issued any order and because of that insured has to incur the cost, that is also covered now. Preloaded software risk is covered, stock held in trust is covered. In addition, stock on floater basis is covered. But this stock on floater basis has the two different definitions for both the different policies. In SBSU, means Bharat Sukshma Udyam Suraksha, this is free of cost. But in Laghu Udyam Suraksha, a loading of 10% is still applicable. In Sukshma Udyam Suraksha, this is free of cost. That means their policy is meant for the micro industries only up to the sum insured of 5 crore. So there would be no additional charge on account of the floater. Now you have to understand clearly what is floater means. Floater means cover for stock at multiple locations under one sum insured. Means one policy provides coverage for multiple locations. If the stock is kept in godowns and godowns are at multiple locations, they all can be covered under the one sum insured in the one fire policy. Minded, this is for the godowns only. Minded, this is for the stocks only, not for the branches. So, here the floater cover is free in SPSU, but this is an added cover in SBI. A declaration policy is required in fire insurance category where the stock is having frequent fluctuation in the stock value. Say for example, in a stock at Delhi, the value is 20 lakh rupees. In summer season it is 80 lakh rupees. In rainy season it may be about 1 crore or 20 lakh rupees. So it depends upon the items, whether they are seasonal, whether their requirements is keep increasing according to the seasons or according to the festivals. So where frequent fluctuations are there, then only the declaration policy is required, otherwise no. Now this policy has the standardized method of deciding the sum insured. What is that? That all the properties like building, plant and machinery and furniture fixtures will be insured now at the reinstatement value. Building, plant and machinery, furniture, fixture and fittings will be insured now on the reinstatement value only. But the stock may have the different kind of valuation. For example, the raw material can be insured at landed cost, stock and process at the input cost, and finished stock at the manufacturing cost. The difference between these three costs is the stock and process cost and finished stock will keep on increasing because there are input of additional items, input of additional expenses. So the cost will keep on increasing. Now if any precious item is there like bullion or unset precious stones, they are insured on the agreed value basis. Agreed value means the value agreed between the insured and insurance company. This could be on the basis of the valuation certificate or invoice, because these are the sufficient proof to decide the value. So the sum insured will be decided for properties on the basis of reinstatement value, for stock 3 different kind of values, for precious items agreed value basis, and there would be no escalation of the sum insured during the entire policy period, because this escalation is applicable to the Bharat Gೃಹ Raksha policy where only the residential or dwelling houses are insured. But in these two commercial policies, escalation is not applicable. But yes, since building, plant and machinery and furniture fixtures are insured on reinstatement value, so this becomes important to understand what is reinstatement value. Reinstatement value means the amount at which the insured property can be replaced today by a similar property without deducting any depreciation. For example, a textile machinery costing 50 lakh rupees 4 years ago, if costing today at 65 lakh, it must be insured for 65 lakh rupees. This is the current restatement value or current replacement value. Because the cost has increased. Of the similar make, model or similar property, if the cost has increased, that increased cost must be the sum insured. That will protect the insured from the underinsurance. So in fire insurance, overinsurance is allowed. Underinsurance must not be done, because this will cause the loss to your insured. You may lose your customer, you may lose your business, you may lose your brand image also. So better to go for a little higher value. This is in favor of both of you. You will get a higher premium, customer will get a fully protected from the customer will get fully protected from the application of underinsurance. Now there could be another value which is called as contract price. This contract price is applicable only for those items, those goods, those merchandise which are sold but not delivered. Maybe between the time gap of selling and delivery, if there is a loss by any reason, maybe fire or flood or rain or whatever reason, in that case the insurance company will pay the contract price. Here the contract price means at what value these goods have been sold. So this contract price is also applicable here. Now a very good feature in this policy here, in both the policies, that both the policies are having innovative coverage. 4 innovative coverage are the unique feature of these two policies. Fire policy covers the risk of money up to 50,000. These two policies covers the risk of documents up to 50,000. These two policies cover the risk of computer programming and data up to 5 lakh rupees. And the risk of personal effects of visitors, employees or directors up to 3 lakh rupees. This 3 lakh is divided into 20 people and 15,000 per person. So why these are called innovative coverage? Because in standard fire and special peril policy they were never there. They are still not there. But in these two policies, these are the additional coverage included without any additional cost. So the customer must be benefited. May or may not be the customer is aware of all these things, but they are covered. They are insured already in his policy. If any fire policy like Sukshma Uddam Suraksha or Laghu Uddam Suraksha is issued to any of the customers, these are the inbuilt benefits of both the policies. Another good feature is waiver of underinsurance. This waiver of underinsurance is not correctly understood by the customers, not even correctly understood by the insurers also. But this issue arises at the time of claim settlement. Then it becomes very controversial. Because both the policies says, in any case, if the sum insured is not adequate, or if it is less up to the 50%, in that case, the application of average clause will be waived. That means customer will not lose anything. But in case it is exceeded more than 15%, then customer has to suffer. Maybe the customer is not the defaulter for this reason. Because customer don't understand what is under insurance, what is over insurance. This has to be suggested by you people. If you are charging the premium for higher value, he may not oppose it. So there is no harm for over-insuring. But under-insuring is harmful, and especially for the customer only. I explained it further with an example. Say suppose the insurance policy is issued for 5 crore for any sari showroom or electrical gadget showroom. 5 crore policy is issued. After 5 months, there was fire and there is a loss of 1 crore rupees. So when the loss is intimated to the insurance company immediately appointed a surveyor. Surveyor reached to the site, physically verified the loss and found that the policy is issued for 5 crore only, while the value at risk of insurable items at the time of loss is 5 crore 50 lakh. It means there is an under insurance of 50 lakh rupees. This under insurance of 50 lakh rupees is almost 10% of the sum insured. So the surveyor suggested to the customer, your loss of 1 crore will not be paid in full. There will be a deduction of 10%, that would be around 10 lakh rupees. We are going to lose. Now just imagine this is a fault which he never knew, which is not on his part. But he is the sufferer because he is losing 10 lakh rupees. So this kind of loss because of under insurance is a typical problem. IRDA to some extent has protected it by giving a waiver of under insurance up to 15%. Because the market fluctuation could also be there at any time. But that may not exceed 10-15%. So a reasonable waiver of 15% is considered. So in this case, nothing will be deducted from the claim of the customer, because this is coming within the limit of 15%. Since it is less than 15%, the claim will be considered in full. But on the contrary, if it is exceeding 50%, maybe 20%, 25% or 30%, then there is a problem. This is another example. Say for a micro industry, a policy is given for 5 crores. Not even 4 crore. Building is insured for 3 crores, stock is insured for 4 crore, Bharat Suraksha policy is given for 4 crore. And there is a loss of 50 lakh rupees, maybe after 3 months. Here, when the surveyor assessed the valuation of the property, that is building and stock, he found that the current value of the building is 3 crore 50 lakh. Current value of the stock was 1 crore 50 lakh. Total sum insured should have been 5 crore. Policy was given for 4 crore. So there was under insurance of 20%. Means if we are taking a policy for the property value of 5 crore of 4 crore only, that means we are under insuring 20%. If the loss is 50 lakh rupees, 20% will be deducted. So if the claim of 40 lakh is paid to the customer, do you think customer will be happy? Never. So in such a case, under insurance helps a customer a lot. This waiver, 15%, But in no circumstances it should be more than 15%. Because here in this example, if the customer is saying, okay, 15% waiver is there, you waive it and deduct 5%, that is not possible. Here the total 20% will be deducted from the claim of the 50 lakh rupees and the customer will lose 10 lakh rupees. So this is not advisable to migrating team to under-insure any property. Now, stock held in trust was earlier not covered under this policy. That was an add-on cover. Because the stock held in trust is a very common issue. Say, for example, a motor vehicle garage is there. Now, in a motor vehicle garage, whose cars are there? Your car, my car, any customer's car? Because they are for repair in a garage. Now, suppose the fire is there in the garage and the entire garage is burnt. Whose cars burnt? Customers. But from whom they will claim? To the garage owner. So this is stock held in trust. This could be of anything. Maybe finished goods, semi-finished goods, stock in process, raw material, packaging material. Say another example of dry cleaner. Now dry cleaner is having plenty of suits in his shops. They were all for dry cleaning. But if it is a fire in his shop or loss due to flood in his shop, whose goods have been damaged? Customers. But ultimate liability is of the owner of shop. If he has taken the fire policy, this kind of loss will be covered under the category of stock held in trust. Similarly, if any addition, alteration or extension is there during the policy period in the premises or in the machinery, that should be added by an endorsement. If it is intimated to the insurance company and insurance company has issued an endorsement, the liability is covered. If the value has increased, obviously a difference of premium is also paid. Now, during issuance of these two policies, you will notice the difference is very minor, because this is the limit of sum insured, which is bifurcating these two policies, because up to 5 crores Bharat Sukshma Udyam is there, more than 5 crores Bharat Laghu Udyam is there. Compulsory access is limited 5,000 on each claim in the Sukshma Udyam. But in Laghu Udyam it is on the basis of percentage, that is minimum 10,000 rupees of each claim. The start-up expenses limit is again limited in Sukshma Udyam for 1 lakh rupees only. But in Laghu Udyam it is 5 lakh rupees. Floater cover is free in SBSU, but this is chargeable as an add-on cover in Laghu Udyam. Minimum premium difference is also there. Now the important aspect is, once this policy is issued, and at any level if the customer finds that his sum insured is not adequate, he can request even during the policy period to enhance the sum insured. Sum insured can be increased during the policy period by an endorsement only. Because sum insured is the only limit to which the insurance company is responsible. Compulsory excess cannot be increased. That will remain fixed. Insurance company's liability is limited to the sum insured. If it is found at any stage during the currency of policy, it can be increased. Difference amount has to be paid. Now the policy can be sold with certain add-on covers also. We have got 8 add-on covers. These add-on covers are different to the add-on covers available with the standard fire and special peril policy, because those perils have been merged in these two policies and now new add-on covers have been approved by the IRDA. All companies are having different add-on covers now. We are having 8 add-on covers. You may be knowing. Because add-on covers are not mandatory to take. For each add-on cover there is extra price. So they are optional. But we are having installment protection up to 50,000 per MI, claim preparation cost, loss of rent, additional expenses of rent for an alternate accommodation, and accidental damage cover, involuntary betterment, expenses for loss minimization, and escalation clause. These 8 add-on covers are there. If you find the product or the unit which you are going to insure is of a nature where the valuation can fluctuate, so it is advisable to give the escalation clause, which will cover the increase in the sum insured up to 25% of the total sum insured. Now, stocks at many locations on floater basis can be covered. Only 2 things have to be given: location of the stock and the valuation of the stock at the different locations. Now, this policy can be purchased by the owner of the unit, but at the same time, there could be a change in the situation. For example, the unit is sold. In that case, obviously, the buyer will take the policy. Or the unit is given on lease. Definitely, the lessor will take the policy. Or suppose it is let out. In that case, tenant can take the policy. When the tenant is taking the policy, he cannot get the building insured, because he is not the owner of that building. He has no insurable interest in the building. But in addition to the building, say for example, plant and machinery, furniture fixtures, stocks, these all things could be his own. So he can take an insurance policy for that. Now, in fire policy there is an important clause that is called restoration of sum insured. Whenever there is a claim paid by an insurance company on the fire policy, the sum insured will be reduced by that claim paid amount for the unexpired period of policy. It becomes the duty of the insured to get the sum insured restored by payment of an additional premium, so that for the future losses which may take place in the unexpired period of the policy, the under insurance clause may not apply. Say for example, a shop is insured for 50 lakh rupees. In that shop, there is a loss of say 20 lakh rupees. Insured has got a claim of 20 lakh rupees. Policy has run for 4 months only. Now 8 months are remaining. So for remaining 8 months, the sum insured is remained only 30 lakhs. If at all there is any loss in future also, under insurance may cause him harm. So it is better to pay the difference amount to restore the sum insured, so that in future also he may not suffer the average loss for his losses. So in all these package policies, the section 1 has automatically, or you can say by default, have been changed in the software of the company. Because according to the sum assured report of the fire section, the policy will automatically take the cover, that is Sukshma Udyam or Laghu Udyam. Now, if you have got any proposal for Sukshma Udyam or Laghu Udyam, support office and directing department will generate the quotes. So for that purpose, we have to forward the approval format, because each proposal is evaluated at underwriting department and then only the premium rates are quoted. Market is very volatile. Rate competition is very high. Due to competition, discount is prevailing. How much discount company can consider, that will be decided by the support office and underwriting department. So that is necessary here. Now, for any proposal of Sukshma Udyam or Laghu Udyam, and even along with those policies, add-on covers, the rate will be quoted by the underwriting department only. So this is all about the fire insurance. If you have any questions to ask, you can ask now. I am sending the question paper to Mr. Rishi now. But before that, if you want to ask anything, you can ask now.
Sir, in the starting you have told that out of the 14 perils, no one can be removed. But in such cases, we have seen in the market that so many companies are removing terrorism, and even though I have done also some of the proposals in our company also, in which we have been eliminated terrorism. So, can we do it frequently, or there is some kind of thing?
There is a noise at your level. I am not able to hear what you are telling.
Hello.
Yes.
Sir, am I audible, sir?
Now you are audible. Yes.
Sir, I am just asking that out of 14, only about the terrorism, is it possible to remove?
No. That's definitely not.
But in market, some of the companies are removing that coverage.
In these two policies, they cannot do it. If they have alternatively got any policy approved from the IRDA, they can do it. Because this option is always there with the companies. We also got for the residential houses a policy got approved by IRDA, wherein we made two changes, important changes for long term and exclusion of terrorism. So this option is there, but in these two policies, no company can make any changes. These are issued by IRDA. No company has got any authority to make any changes in these. If at all you find any company is doing such things, a single complaint may make the difference. We will never encourage all these things, and we are not making any wrong practices in our company. Okay? So Rishi, are you there? I am forwarding the question paper.
Yeah, yes. Yeah. Am I audible, sir?
Sir? Sir?
Just a minute. Give me 1 minute.
Hello?
Yes, tell me.
My question, sir, is that if a customer value the insurance more than the free statement value, will the company pay the claim on the basis of the value?